Welcome to Hack Talkz, brought to you by the NetWitness Incident Response Team, your weekly dive into the hottest picks, the strangest twists, and you couldn't make this up moments in global cybersecurity. Every week, we'll break down what's happening out there, challenge a bit of conventional thinking, and of course, we'll crown this week's epic fail. My name is Gordon Dixon, your host based in Glasgow, Scotland, and I'm joined as always by Stefano Maccaglia, the director based in Rome, Italy. Ciao, Stefano.
Ciao, guys.
And James Sobel, senior manager in Merritt Island, Florida. Hi, James.
Hey, how's it going?
Great to have you both here.
Resistance is futile.
All right, let's start with the in the news section, the stories that grabbed our attention this week. That's been no shortage of eyebrow raisers. So, Stefano, what's caught your eye this week?
Well, this week is, let's say, interesting to speak a little bit about AA agents, because, not long ago, the AI agents were harmless little things that were, let's say, wrote with code snippets, fixed your grammar, and occasionally hallucinated a CV into existence. But then organization did what organization always do. They got ambitious. Now we have shared organizational AA agents wired into the HR, engineering, support, operation. And these agents, they don't just do the agent for that, but they really act. So they provisions account, change configs, move data across systems, and basically we turn them from, let's say, pocket calculators into slightly deranged but very powerful bureaucrats with roots into our company. So here's the problem. These agents don't live as you. And normally, the entire cybersecurity around the companies is always aimed to identify the user accessing to the asset, accessing the data. Now that the user is having, let's say, a middleware that is the agent that he query for result and responses, the answer coming from the AI can be well beyond the boundaries of the user privileges. And that is really the problem. Shared services account, long life API keys, a broad number of agents granting authentications are all bringing chaos into the traditional cybersecurity defenses of the asset protection and the data protection systems. James, what do you think about it?
I think you are poking at some real low level, some real back to the basics cybersecurity issues. CIA, right? I mean, who are you authentic? How are you accessing? How are we understanding and attributing resources and capabilities to people? And what we lost our minds when it comes to agentic AI, suddenly that playbook goes out the window. I think that really just screams at me like, what did we just stop reading the Cybersecurity 101 book?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Stefano. And James, what caught your eye and stopped you scrolling through your news feed this week?
Kim Wolf, not Airwolf, Kim Wolf. I mean, right out of fiction, though, right? I mean, you've got a nefarious Android vulnerability where the bad guys are able to move through your home network, find a whole bunch of devices that they can use to create botnets and other nefarious capabilities to attack organizations. You, by buying or keeping maybe out of date or non-updated or end of life, or maybe just that really inexpensive, it was free kind of device on your network, you have unknowingly become part of the problem. You are feeding and helping hackers and cyber criminals across the globe. Pretty scary that is something that can happen. that if you buy low quality and maybe you get malware in the as part of the deal. And I just finished by saying you're installing a piece of software, a new TV, some other device, and you get that message that pops up and it says, okay, if I scan your network to find other devices I can use? No. The answer is no. Don't do it. Someone else is already trying to do it. It creates problems. Stefano, what do you think? What you're not doing this on your network, I assume.
No, not at all, man. The other thing is that this is, in my personal opinion, material for even the epic fail. I mean, in this case, the truly epic failure is that there is a piece of software, a piece that left unguarded, that is called Android debug breach. The developers developed this tool for helping them, let's say, but they forgot to lock him down. So in many devices, this is activated or even set active as a default. So it means that producers and hardware producers, software producers, leveraging on these are not covering the bare minimum needed, because to access this thing, you don't even need a password. So that is dramatic, guys. I told you, I do not rise these at the epic fail level simply because I feel a bit pity about the developer. But surely this is material for an epic fail, and more in general, that allow attackers to directly connect remotely, draw payloads, and fully automate enrollment of these devices into the Kimwolf. And so that is obviously today for Kimwolf, but potentially is for other botnets in the future. So surely is a topic that needs to be addressed by producers and developers.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot there to think about. And what strikes me about both these stories is that sense that we'll hear about these again. This is where things have legs. All they need is that small opportunity to be able to break into systems, and then they can multiply, they can run riot within a setup, within a network. And I think we'll unfortunately come back to these topics, I think, again and again. But thank you both for sharing.
You will be assimilated.
Now on to the moment of truth, this week's epic fail. This is where we look at a cyber blunder, a slip up, or a downright questionable decision, and we rate it on our epic fail scale from 0 to 10. 0 is basically a rounding error, mostly harmless, and 10 is the full what the FIM were we thinking. So let's break down today's contender. Stefano, what's this week's epic fail?
Well, today's story begins, like many bad science fiction plots, with an old device that nobody remember. They sit in our room, in our condos, in our, let's say, platforms and whatever. They still quietly humming under the desk and routing the entire universe of our communications. So at least that happens in someone's small office network. But we are talking about the CVE 2026-06-25, which is a remote code execution flow in the legacy DSL routers from D-Link. It scores 9.3 in the CVSS, but to be honest with you, I will surely score that for 11 in a 1 to 10 scale, because simply this is the typical vulnerability that in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy will make it written in all caps and blinking. Guys, the bug lives into the CGI endpoint system that calls the DNS settings in the routers. That allows directly, without proper synchronization, user supplies DNS parameters right into the router. So basically, it's a direct compromise, and obviously that help attackers change our DNS resolvers and basically redirect the any potential link in phishing, malware, or even credential stealing URL of our computer, of our small office, directly in the target, in the attacker C2 in the attacker systems. So it's something that lasts into the system since they're born more than 10 years ago. So in 10 years, nobody highlighted that. And for 10 years, even more than that, we left having this problem unsolved. So if that is not an epic fail, I doubt there is anything else that can be brought to the attention, guys.
Faceplant. That's a tough one, Stefano. That is a tough one. It is. You know, I have to agree with you. A huge fail there on the part of, again, back to network providers. You know, network gear. It would seem after all this time, we might have a way to deal with that scenario, but we're still dealing with end of life, not patched vulnerabilities. That's a tough one.
Gordon, what you think?
Absolutely. And I think that's what would bring out people in a cold sweat, that sense that, you know, if you are keeping on top of your updates, if you are sort of renewing your systems on a regular basis, that's great, but you're only as secure as your weakest link, as your legacy items, is that, as you say, that dusty corner, you know, in the far flung part of your system or your network or your infrastructure that has this vulnerability lurking there that has maybe even been forgotten about. So I think, you know, if we don't want to give anyone nightmares on these calls, but you know, this is one that people have paused now and ran away from watching us on YouTube to actually go and start reviewing their systems right there and then, because we've really, you know, sort of scared them into action based on that. So yes, I think yes, we don't have a scale to 11, obviously, but props to Spinal Tap for that particular measurement. But let's lock it in, shall we, and share our scores. So Stefano, so yes, if I can't let you score 11, what's your epic fail scale for this 0 to 10?
I just want to make a parallel here, Gordon. So if this CV is not scoring 10, because this is less elite 0-day magic. I mean, this is just, we left a web page on our edge device systems, happily runs whatever command is given. So I don't think there is anything worse than that, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll take that as a 10 if I can't let you have 11. And James, do you share Stefano's kind of sort of sense of the epic scale of this fail?
Epic, as in scale, as in breadth, as in a letdown. That's what makes this a 10. It's such a letdown. Like you were saying, Stefano, this isn't rocket science. This isn't the movie 0-day kind of thing. This is just people not doing their diligence and us not paying attention to it for years. It's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10. Please go look in your cabinet and replace that old router if you need to.
Who can argue with that? So I feel I must concur with you gentlemen. So I'll score 10. And so that gives us our very first perfect 10 epic fail score.
This week's epic fail score is 10.
So thank you for that.
That's great.
And if you're listening and thinking, oh, I've seen something just as big, or you have some different thoughts on what you think our score is for this particular fail, then send us a message or add your comments below and put forward your own nominations for what next week or next week epic fail could be. So thank you very much. Before we wrap up, let's flip the mood with this week's mighty win. Something genuinely uplifting from the cyber world, a moment of competence or cleverness, a just a rare feel-good story in the sometimes gloomy landscape, especially as we've just handed out our first perfect 10 epic fail. So Stefano, this week the mighty win comes from yourself. What would you like to share as your good news story from the world of cybersecurity?
Well, this is the anniversary for the death of Aaron Swartz, and he was a technologist, an activist, a writer, and potentially it was really a part of the internet family. He really brought a number of significant contribution to the internet as a whole. Me, as a IR responder and obviously in charge of protecting assets and data for customers, sometimes I do not share necessarily all the views of Aaron regarding his fight for direct access to the knowledge and stuff like that. Obviously, for my professional, let's say, even behavior and my work ethic. But I need to really say that I really feel this time how we miss Aaron and his battle to have a better world, to have a better access for everybody to the significant knowledge that brought, let's say, internet the way it is, even for a better internet, let's say. So on this specific moment in time, I really think that his contribute should be brought to the attention of the media. His contribute, his fight for having a better view of the technology, a better approach for the technology. Is really important, and we definitely need to pay a little bit of a tribute on him, and we need to bring a little bit of the lesson learned about what he said and what he brought to us as a cybersecurity and more in general as a IT community in the world, as an internet community. James, guys, what you think?
Yeah, I in a respectful way. We often have things that are very lighthearted here, and I think that's a great approach. But it is also good to think back in a little more serious way about the ideals of early internet, the ideals of the pioneers who brought us that make the world better, do no harm, bring more knowledge to individuals. It's great to look back upon that nostalgically and hopefully for some lessons, especially as we kind of grapple with social media today and dealing with that and dealing with the pervasiveness, the actual realization of some of the dreams of having access to more information across the globe.
Gordon.
Thank you both
Gordon,
for that. So yeah, there was someone who gave a lot to, as you say, to the industry and to the community, and it's a mighty win that's still worth fighting for and to keep in our thoughts and our memories for sure. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, guys.
A huge thanks to Stefano and James for joining me today, and thanks to you for tuning in. This has been Hack Talkz from NetWitness Incident Response, and we'll see you next time. So it's goodbye from me, Gordon Dixon. Thanks very much.
Bye.
You have been watching Hack Talkz.